The following production is brought to you by the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show.
Here we go, Talkin' Buds Leaf Show, episode 253. Ryan, we've been doing this a long time. We're in season 7. We've been doing this, in these 7 years that the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show has existed. I bet you the amount of Leaf games that I have missed in that time is probably under 10. And you and I talk all the time about strapping in for 82. And when you strap in for 82, it's a grind. There's no two ways about it. It's a grind. It's as much as we love this team and we started the show because we love this team and because we enjoy being fans and watching the games. You want to watch because if you're going to come on and give an informed take, you don't want to sound like an idiot. So when you're in the midst of the grind that is 82, you look for interesting storylines to get you emotionally invested and excited to watch in early November. And Wednesday night against the Vegas Golden Knights, we got some interesting storylines and some interesting developments that captivated our and the rest of Leaf Nation's attention. First and foremost, I don't remember a time in the Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares era where they have been bitten by the injury bug like they are right now. They have 6, and if Knies is out, 7 forwards out of the lineup right now, including their captain and star player. And do you remember this? Am I forgetting something?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we can go down the list of if I actually miss the players who are injured, and if I really think I care that they're gone, I could talk about that. But I don't really remember them being this banged up. Maybe I'm sure someone will come in the comments and give us a DDT and correct us. But no, I don't remember.
But in terms of starters not playing, I don't ever remember a time like this. So you go into the Wednesday night game against the Vegas Golden Knights, and you got Fraser, Minten and Nikita Grebenkin making their NHL debuts this year. You have Pontus Holmberg centering line number 2. You have Alexander Steves on the 4th line, Connor Dewar coming back, and you're just like, okay, 2 guys in Minten and Grebenkin, in particular, that you're like, okay, these are young guys who have a lot of hype within the organization. These are guys that you hope to be on the big club one day and to make a difference. And let's just start with them. Your thoughts on those 2 and their performance Wednesday night against the Vegas Golden Knights?
Yeah, I think you said it throughout a Maple Leaf season. Sometimes it's hard to gear yourself up for a game, especially against a Western Conference team, because sometimes even though they're playing a very good Western Conference team, it could be kind of a dud of a hockey game. So anything to inject some excitement going into a hockey game, that's what I'm all about. And what it injects excitement is when you have so many players who are injured. And what happens when players are injured is other guys get opportunities. So I honestly totally forgot about Grebenkin. I honestly haven't thought about him for 1 second since I saw him in the preseason. So when I heard his name, I'm like, oh shit, I totally forgot about this guy. And then Fraser, Minten, I'd say the expectations aren't sky high, but my expectations are this guy needs to be a player for them because they've developed nothing. They need center icemen. So in that case,
and he's touted his ceiling, and anyone who pays attention says that he's projected to be a very good 2nd to 3rd line center in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not talking about sky high expectations. I think Matthew Knies had pretty high expectations. I don't think he's on that level, but this is a guy who can be a very important player for them. And a lot of people who know the game of hockey and watch this guy play think he's going to be a good player. So watching them replace a couple guys who have done nothing this season and make a difference. Obviously, it was a love fest around the city today because the Leaf fan psychology is so predictable and so funny. You put a new shiny toy in front of us, a young guy, and it's just, you watch them play one good game, and all of a sudden this fan base is just going nuts for these two guys who played a very good hockey game against a very good hockey team. And I thought they were both great. How could you not? I think Grebenkin was doing it all. I mean, I don't want to get into like what his ceiling is or whatever, but for that night, he was very effective. He's physical. He kind of started the whole nastiness of the game when he got Theodore from behind. He was back checking. He was forward checking.
Can skate, Ryan. You're always talking about guys and the ability to skate. Like, this guy can skate.
And then Minten scores that goal. Okay, and he's not a goal scorer. And people are like, well, we'll see how many goals he gets in the National Hockey League. Would Pontus Holmberg score that goal?
Ryan, Fraser Minten is now tied for goals with Nick Robertson, Pontus Holmberg. He jumped out ahead of Pontus Holmberg, who later tied him with the empty netter. Like, this guy's on par with the other everyday players on this team.
Yeah. And I mean, really, if you look at their lineup last night, the lines say 12 forwards, but really there was 11 because Nick Robertson's in the lineup. And then Matthew Knies goes down and there's 10 forwards because Nick Robertson's out there doing nothing. So it's like, this fan base is so funny where it's just like these two guys come in, they play really well. They're really exciting. They already look better than the guys they already have who are making more money than they are. And this fan base falls in love with two new guys. And it was a great hockey game. It really was. Well, it was a really exciting hockey game.
We and a bunch of other shows talked about Grebenkin in the preseason and said this guy has all the tools to become a fan favorite. Just the way he plays and the energy he brings, and then his quotes after the game, like him saying forecheck, back check, paycheck.
Okay, can we clear up where he got this from? Because I'm listening to old, like all the old guys on the radio today who aren't that old, but they're from an older generation, and they're like talking about it like he came up with it himself. I think pretty sure he got it from Letterkenny. Like, can we just clear that up? Because I feel like I was listening to all the guys talk about it today, and I feel like they have no idea where he got that from. And it's like, I'm pretty sure he got it from the blonde dude with the flow from Letterkenny.
I think you might be right. I'm looking it up right now. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Forecheck, back check, paycheck, boys. Letterkenny. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is pretty funny. Yeah. You're right. The older dudes on the radio obviously don't watch Letterkenny.
I was listening to Overdrive, listening to Brian Hayes talk about it. It's like, dude, you literally sound like you're 60 years old right now. Like, to be honest, man.
Well, hey, man, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I haven't watched a ton of Letterkenny. I'm learning that right now too. Which I guess in this discussion, I'm 35. You could classify me as an old guy. That's 100%.
I just need to clear that up because I listened to I was in the car a lot today. I was listening to every show, and everyone was like referencing that, and it's like I'm pretty sure he probably watched that clip of Letterkenny and got it from that guy.
Which is hilarious. So, listen. First of all, I agree with you. I thought they both played great. I like what they both bring. Fraser Minten, it'll make such a huge difference for this team if he can stick. I don't know if he will. I thought he played really well. I'm really excited about his potential upside. The dude looks like he's 13 years old. Like when he scored that goal and he skated back to the bench smiling, he looked like a child on Christmas morning. Like, he looks very, very young. Like, he looks very young. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't stick and he ends up going back to the Marlies. Treliving said as much. But here's the thing. And to me, this is where it's going to get really interesting. These guys played really well, and because of the amount of injuries, they're going to be here for a few more games, right? If they continue to play well, I think Treliving needs to take a look at his bottom six. You know, you brought up Ryan Reeves. Ryan Reeves is suspended, but you brought him up a couple episodes ago, and you said, if this guy isn't fighting, like, why is he here? And you look at a guy like a Grebenkin, who is a way better skater than Ryan Reeves, and you're like, maybe he could have his spot in the bottom 6 from time to time, and maybe this guy can generate a little more offense from you and bring a little more bite than what like Ryan Reeves. Like, not that he's tougher than Ryan Reeves. It's just like,
yeah, I know
if
what
Ryan
you're saying.
Reeves isn't fighting, why is he here?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm
and
saying?
he's also, Ryan Reeves is not a young man either.
No, he's not. And also, like, if we're going to talk fourth line, I thought Alex Steves looked really good on the fourth line. I thought he brought a speed element to that. And they had Dewar, Lorentz, and Steves had a great cycle game going against the Vegas Golden Knights. Like, that could be a reworked fourth line. This is going to be a pretty positive episode. So I don't want to take it down like a negative road and start bagging guys, but like, if you're Nick Robertson, you need to be worried right now. You need to be worried because these two guys get in the lineup, and granted, we'll see how it goes. It was their first game. They were jacked out of their mind. They played really well because of it. But as we go down the road here, it's like, if these guys keep playing well, like if Nick Robertson is going to go out there and he's going to do what he did in the third period last night and turn the puck over twice in one shift, and I look at him versus a Grebenkin or versus a Minten, I'm kind of like, well, I look at Fraser Minten, who's a pretty good two-way centerman. He played like it. He got some power play looks. Berube said as much after the game. He's like, he's a really smart player who's always in the right position. You talked about Grebenkin earlier. He brought a physical element. He's the one that started all the craziest the other night. He can skate. I look at them and I go, well, I know if I put these guys in the lineup, they're going to contribute something versus Nick Robertson, who kind of skates up and down his wing. And,
like,
yeah, it doesn't do anything.
Like to me, they're down a forward when he's in the lineup right now.
Yeah,
he's that bad.
Doesn't do anything. And the same can be said for Pontus Holmberg. Like, so I think it's going to be really interesting, and this might cause Berube and the coaching staff to kind of rethink their bottom 6. And I know they don't want to rush these young guys, and they want to let them season in the minors, and I get all that. But it's been a big discussion point. We've talked about it in the last 2 episodes, depth scoring and getting contributions up and down your lineup. And the bottom 6, for the most part, has been pretty fucking mid. Like, this has been a really good start to the season. They're in first place in the division. They're playing really well. But I think one thing that the quote unquote naysayers have been saying that isn't, if you look at the numbers, isn't inaccurate, is the bottom 6 has been pretty fucking mid. So does this cause Berube and the coaching staff to take a step back and rethink who's out there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't put Minten and Grebenkin in the same category, to be honest with you. Like, what is Grebenkin really? I think you could put Grebenkin in your lineup right now, and he's just going to be what he's going to be. I understand wanting Fraser Minten to marinate more because, like you said, he looks like he's 10 years old, and he plays a very important position in the league that every team is looking for. I know he had an injury at the start, so I think it's going to be a tough call for him. But at the same time, it's like, look at we've been talking about it all year. Their center depth is so fucking bad. It's so bad. So if this is they're going to have a problem on their hands if this guy gets a run of games and he looks really good. And it's like, well, maybe we don't got time for this guy to marinate. And I know he can go up and down, like whatever. You can set him down, set him back up. It's not like a Nick Robertson waiver situation, but they could have a problem here because Pontus Holmberg is pretty useless. David Kampf, I think, is at the end of his run with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, I don't think what argument can you make for David Kampf, really? Like, he's out, he kills penalties. It's like, well, cool. Like, I don't really, you could teach a million guys how to kill a penalty. So
Max Domi is not
Domi's not a centerman. So it's just, they're going to have a real problem if this kid keeps playing well, because currently what they have down the middle, and they're in first place. They're having a great season. They're playing some of the best hockey I've seen them play in a long time right now. But their center depth going into the postseason is not good enough to get anything done. So, I mean, it's going to be hard for fans to like contain their excitement. It's going to be hard for management to look at the lineup and be like, how can we hold somebody out if he's playing well? But at the same time, let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Right.
Like that's the problem. Again, what I said earlier, the problem with the city. It's just now he's played one good game. We're getting ahead of ourselves. But at the same time, how could we not?
Yeah. It's not. Listen, for all intents and purposes, we could be back here next week and it's the same bottom 6 it's been before Wednesday night. But I don't know. The point I'm trying to make, I guess, is let's just use Grebenkin as an example. This is a guy who can skate and play with an edge and get in on the forecheck and be an agitator. Right now, that is more valuable than what Nick Robertson is bringing to the table. Right now, that is more valuable than what Pontus Holmberg is bringing to the table. And that's what I mean. It's like, okay, if I'm going to take Robertson out and put Grebenkin in, at least Grebenkin, I know he's going to impact the game. He's going to hit somebody. He's going to go to the net and agitate the goalie. He's going to get in hard on the forecheck. He's going to get back on the back check because he can fly. Something like that, where it's like, Nick Robertson, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're just out there skating around. You don't look particularly dangerous. You're not like, I'm sorry, Pontus Holmberg, what are you doing? You're just out there skating around, right? And it's like, I totally agree. It's good. I think Minten is a totally different story, and it's going to be interesting when you compare him to like a Camp for where that slot in. And I don't know. That remains to be seen. And I agree with you. The position and just like he needs more. You need to make sure he's ready because he is going to play a very important role for you. But yeah, you couple that with what you said about Ryan Reeves a couple episodes ago. I just think that this is cause to like kind of sit back and go, maybe we could rework this bottom six a little bit. Yeah.
And even though we were on the episode I don't want to sound like too much of a hypocrite because we kind of said a couple episodes ago that the star players need to like drive the bus for sure. But I mean, just one good effort by two guys who get called up. And I'll even throw Steve's in there too. Like you said, Steve's, like throw him in there too. You look at it and yeah, the big boys need to drive the bus, but then you actually take a look at guys in the bottom six contributing in different ways. And then you just start looking around being like what the fuck is David Camp doing? Like what exactly? Nick Robertson is literally not even on the ice. So like how can fans not get ahead of themselves when they see like just even a third line player forechecking, getting physical, causing shit is way more valuable than Nick Robertson skating around doing absolutely nothing. David Camp doing absolutely nothing. Like I don't know.
Today's episode of the Talking Buds Leaf Show is brought to you by GameTime.
Rob, the girlfriend and I just got a place right downtown. And since we've been down here, I've been to a couple Jays games. I've been to some concerts. And for a fact I'll be in the building for a couple Leaf games this season. And anytime I need to grab tickets to an event, I use GameTime.
I recently used GameTime to grab some tickets for you and me to go see Creed at Scotiabank Arena in November. I'm getting warmed up. I'm getting excited. Home now.
All right. If you keep going, they won't want to do business with us anymore.
All right. I digress. I'll save my Scott Stapp impression for another time.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier.
GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets.
GameTime Picks curates and makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater.
They've got my favorite feature, which is called Seat Views, where you can get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy.
Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime Picks. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it?
Game time.
Do you want to talk about the Matt Knies hit? I mean, I get you and I don't really go here a lot because I know that we're similar in that we just get so exhausted listening. Like, oh my God, man. Like the TV coverage and the radio cover, it's just all day talking about, was it a hit? Was it a legal hit? Was it not a legal hit? And then you get into the whole open the can of worms about the league and like, how is this different from Reeves and blah, blah. Listen, here's my take on it real quick.
Yeah, I'll do a quick one after.
I thought it was fucking insane that the Leafs ended up being the team that was penalized after that play. I think we talked about it last episode. The officiating in the National Hockey League is atrocious. Night in and night out, it's atrocious. It's embarrassing. I don't know what they're going to do about it. I don't know what they can do about it, but it's fucking awful, okay? Whitecoulds leaned in with the body and rose up and got Matt Knies in the head. I think he should have got a penalty because he ended up knocking him down and knocking him out of the game, which should have caused a penalty. At the same time, Matt Knies needs to get his fucking head up.
Yeah,
like, you're coming through the neutral
100%.
zone with your head down, you're going to get nailed. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to get nailed. So, it is what it is in that sense. I really hope Knies is okay. You know, this is in his pro career, he's already had a few concussions. Like, this is something concerning. And I don't know. They've got some more days off here. So by the time we get to Sunday against Utah, we'll see how he's feeling. And maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. But at the end of the day, two things can be true. I thought it was fucking absurd that the Leafs ended up being shorthanded. And I think the moment you injure a guy by hitting his head, yes, he started on the body and he went up and got the head. He had no intent to injure. If you look at the way he leaned in to hit him, it's a textbook of a way to hit somebody as you could do in this league. But his shoulder ended up rising up, hitting him in the head, knocking him out of the game. At the very least, it should be a 2-minute penalty. At very least.
Yeah, I actually don't really agree with that necessarily. I've listened to every single person talk about this today, and my opinion is, after listening to it and watching it, if that hit is a penalty and it's suspendable, just take hitting out of the game. Like, just take it out of the game. When you're playing one of the most physical sports in the world, and especially when you grew up with all the Rock'em Sock'em DVDs and you have to watch 800 compilation of hits. I know the game's...
Careful. Don't insult him.
Oh my God.
Don't insult him. Yeah, don't insult him.
I
lose another subscriber.
I literally complimented the guy for saying how Canadian he was, but okay.
I know. But for some reason that you insulted him. Anyways, continue.
I just like that when you're skating full, because Matt Knies has kind of been throwing his weight around this season.
Yes.
And I think he's getting more confident being like, even though I'm a young guy, I'm a big guy out here and I can hit dudes and I can hurt them and they can fall to the ground. So last night he decided he wanted to skate 100 miles an hour through the neutral zone with his head down. And another big boy in the league decided he was going to let him know what happens when you skate through the neutral zone with your head down. I thought it was a textbook hit. I loved it. Yeah, he hit his head. Yeah, his head hit the ground. That's unfortunate. But I just, if that hit is suspendable, take hitting out of the game of hockey. Like, just do it. I don't think it's I just think him getting and I think Craig Simpson was kind of reacting to it live, and I don't want to give him shit for it, but he kind of came across strongly as like there's no difference between that and the Reeves hit and his feet came up or whatever. But I don't know, man. It was just like, I've seen that hit a million times, and now it's just, I agree with what everyone's saying, how now every time there's a big hit thrown, it's all of a sudden a big to-do or whatever. But you also want to see, I'm happy Benoit got in there and stepped up for his guy. But I don't know. I just thought it was a really good hit. Don't skate through the neutral zone with your head down or you're going to get rocked. And now Matt Knies will know from now on when he comes back that, yeah, you can still forecheck hard. You can hit other dudes. But when you're skating through the neutral zone, even though there's not a lot of Scott Stevens playing in the game anymore, you got to keep your head up. Simple as that.
Yep. You know, you talked about Benoit jumping in for him. That was a theme last night about guys like... I listened to Overdrive on my way home from work today, and O-Dog was talking about how all the comments he's getting from the game last night is people are so happy that John Tavares jumped in on that scrum in the corner with Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Yeah.
And that is definitely a huge difference in this team this year, is they seem like that has definitely been a Berube effect. Like, we've talked like for years about the Dubas Keefe, our power play is our response, skate away, have a pulse. And like, that is not a thing with this year's Maple Leaf team.
No. Yeah. It was, I mean, what can you say about their game, right? Like, they're a really fun hockey team to watch.
Well, I'll tell you what I can say. And I want to get into this, like, and talk about this a little bit more because I'm fascinated by this. And we've talked about it in the last few episodes, but I'm going to bring it up again. This team's fucking 6-1 without Auston Matthews. They're playing as good a team game as I've ever seen them play in this era. There was a quote, I'm trying to find it on Twitter right now. I can't find it, but there was a quote from some Vegas player last night that was just saying... Oh,
yeah, it was Noah Hannafin.
Yeah, and he was just they do an amazing job boxing out in the defensive zone. And they take and it's like, when was that? You never heard anything like that in the Sheldon Keefe era, ever. It was a fire drill. And it's just, I'm fascinated by just everyone seems to have elevated their game. And I'm fascinated by this concept that when the superstar is in the lineup, everyone defers. You kind of get away from playing the team game and everyone defers to the superstar. And I'm kind of sitting here going like, no, Auston Matthews needs to get with the fucking program when he comes back. Like the way this team is playing, we're not going back to everyone skating around trying to help this guy score goals. It's like, no, you need to get in and do what everybody else is doing, because this is as good as I've ever seen this team play from like a positional system standpoint. You texted me last night during the game about Lane Lambert's penalty kill. Like they are firing. When it comes to system hockey, this is as good as they've ever looked.
God, I love Lane Lambert. He's such a beauty. Just looks like he hasn't slept in a year, and he's got a salad gelled back, and his penalty
he's
kills
such a good
firing, and he's
such a good yin to Berube's
exactly.
yang.
Yeah, they look like they're meant to be. Like I don't know. I love the guy, but look at the games they've won. It's like go back to the Washington game. All of a sudden they're just like third period legends.
Yeah,
like their past couple wins, they've really come out in the third period and played extremely well. They're not going to be denied. The star players are scoring, and I'd even say they're 8-1 without Matthews going back to last year playoffs. And I know it's a bit of a different roster, but I mean, they're just extremely entertaining right now.
Well,
they're
doesn't this fascinate you though,
hockey.
Ryan? Like, doesn't it fascinate you how he gets out of the lineup? And like, it's like there's been this like mentality shift. It's wild.
Well, I like take your time, stay in Germany. Yes. Like I want to see this team go on if they keep playing like this, you can sit out as long as you want, fix whatever injury that you have, because we don't need you right now. Hate to say it, but they don't need them right now. They're playing some of the best hockey, most entertaining hockey I've ever seen them play. And a lot of that is their defense is a lot better than it used to be with personnel and system. And their goaltending is extremely solid. So you put those two things together. You've heard this
and you add
a million times.
The big boys up front. You had the big boys up front who were stepping up.
William Nylander, who has been the MVP of this hockey team. This guy's unbelievable. He's one of the most he's dominant out there. When he's on, he is fucking unbelievable. And so you add good goaltending, you add good defense, you get your star players to get their goal or 2 points, 1 point a night. You can string together some wins in the regular season. So I love Auston Matthews. He's a franchise player. Like it's kind of a hard conversation because obviously you want Auston Matthews in your lineup, but right now I don't want him in the lineup. Stay out, take care of your injury. I don't care if he's on the floor to trip. All this talk about I'm so fucking sick and tired of hearing people's opinions about what the team should disclose or what they should not disclose.
I know.
I don't really care. I really don't care. You know why I don't care? Because they're playing some of the best hockey I've ever seen them play.
You got to cut these guys a break. They're doing a show every single day. They need something to talk about.
I know. That's why whenever there's a suspension, it's just that's headline number one or a big
fresh meat for these guys.
It's not their fault, but it's just as far as I'm concerned right now, if this guy has a lingering injury, and if you look at his like career so far, he kind of plays a full season. The next season he gets injured. He plays a full, he's had some injuries throughout his career. He's missed some time. And if you need to go fix whatever you need to go fix, because right now, I don't want to mess with what's going on with them. And I know as soon as they lose 2 in a row and they stop scoring, which that's going to happen eventually, then the noise is going to get a lot louder. But if they're going to continue to play this well without him, then stay out, get healthy, do what you have to do.
For me, it's just very clear that when the systems are in place, everything else falls into place, and you've got the talent up front to capitalize on your scoring chances. And yes, that's not going to happen every night, but everyone is bought in to playing the system defensively, which is resulting in just a better, more complete team game. And the thing that I'm so fixated on is I do not want, when the prodigal son returns, we're not going to go back to this old way of just everything revolves around this guy. We've got to get this guy the puck, and he's the only guy that can score a goal. It's like, no. You get it. You get back in the lineup and you fucking do whatever. Not that he wasn't doing this before. I'm talking more of like a team mentality. It's like You get back in the lineup and you do what everyone else is doing and fall into place. And look at William Nylander and look at Mitch Marner. They're doing what Berube wants them to do defensively, and as a result, things are going their way offensively. And the same thing's going to happen for Auston Matthews. And just go out there, make the play that's there, and put the puck in the net when you can. And don't go in the offensive zone and circle around and circle around and circle around and look for 34. Don't do it. If he's open, pass on the puck. If he's not, fucking shoot it. Like, it's just so this stretch without him and just the psychology behind it has blown my fucking mind. Blown it.
Yeah. No,
it just goes to show how much power and sway and influence a star player has on a hockey team.
Oh, absolutely. And they get treated different. And anyone who's played any sort of sport knows that the big boys get treated different than everybody else. And it's just, at this point, it's really hard to ignore the success without him. And that's not saying that he's a shitty hockey player, we don't need him or whatever, because obviously you want the best players on your roster. But I mean, like, I'm watching, everyone else is watching. Like, if they look at the record, like, it's just there's no argument against that. They've played better without him. So it's going to be really interesting when he comes back in the lineup. I do think there's a possibility that they kind of go back to their old, like Mitch Marner in particular, because Nylander's not going to be playing with them. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to Mitch Marner when he comes back in the lineup. I don't know.
Well, listen, you saw flashes on Wednesday night of Marner and Nylander out there together. Fucking give that a try. Yeah. Like, when Domi's healthy, put him with Knies and Matthews and go Tavares, Marner, Nylander as your second line. Like, give that a look.
Yeah, it's not like one of them can't play their off wing. You know?
Exactly.
So,
you could put Mitch Marner on defense and he can fucking play there. Like, throw Marner on his offside. He'll be fine.
Now, here's one thing I will say, and I've been thinking about. I think the greatest thing that's ever happened to Mitch Marner and his agent and his camp is Auston Matthews getting hurt here, because then he really gets to show what he can do and how valuable of a player he is. Because when he's there with Matthew, obviously playoff success, different story. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about if you're going to make a case in a contract negotiation, you can, as long as Matthew's out and as well as he's playing right now, and he's got, how many points does he have? Like, 13 points in his 13 games with points in his last 14. Like, I think as long as he's out and if he keeps playing this well, is it Darren Ferris who's his agent? I think so. Yeah. Yep. Like that to me, it's only making his case better. I think they should be thrilled as long as Auston Matthews is out. Let Marner go out there and prove that he's one of the best players in the NHL, because he's been really fucking good.
He's earned it, man. Like, he's earned the ability to kind of go into that negotiation with a chip on his shoulder, because he's been fantastic. Like, he has. And I'm on board. I'm on board with people who want to see it in the playoffs. I'm right. Like, if I'm sitting across the table from him and I'm like, you want 12+ million? I want to see you do this in April. I am 1,000% on board with that take. However, you can't deny how good he looks and how good he has looked since Matthews went down.
Yeah, of course. That's the ultimate thing, is how useless he's been in April. But I mean, I'm sure there's more like angles to take in a negotiation, and it's just Auston Matthews is out, and he's kind of being. I think Nylander's been their best player, but he's right there with them. I think it's great for his team in terms of going in and sitting across the table from Leafs management when it's time to do that.
Quickly, because I don't want to stay too long, but you're the one who brought up contracts. You and I have been on record in the last little while of just being like, we don't know if we'd want John Tavares back at all. Based on the way he's played over this last little stretch, if you were going to get this version of John Tavares at, say, $4 million, is that something that you would consider?
Absolutely. I think any number under 5 is a fair number. But the only problem with him is just like, he's not 39. He's 33 years old.
Yes. No, I agree. You're not getting a 5-year deal. I 100% agree.
And, but sometimes he looks like he's 39 when he's not playing well. Like when he's not going, he's not playing as well as he's playing right now. Like he looks like he's 40 years old. So what you have to be careful of when you have an aging player who he's not the best skater is you don't want to pay him for what he does. Like this guy has to take a huge discount to stay here. Like you've made over $100 million in your career. I don't know what you've done with it. Well, that's a whole different conversation that I know nothing about, but this guy needs to take a serious haircut. I don't really care how well he plays this season. He's playing extremely well. He's playing some of the best hockey he's played over the last 2 seasons. But you got to be careful to not fall in love what he does this season if he has one of the best seasons he ever had here. But you really have to be careful because he can show up next year. He's one of those players where he's always going to have the ability to shoot the puck in the net. But what if he just shows up next year and he just can't play anymore?
It's gone. Yeah, it's gone. He looks like Aaron Rodgers.
Like look at Jonathan Taves. I saw a thing on Instagram today. He's living in India on a retreat, and like good for him. I don't know what that's all about, but you want to talk about a guy who's one of the best players in the NHL and arguably was the best player in the NHL, all around player, and then all of a sudden he just showed up. And I know he had some problems, but you just couldn't play in the league anymore. And,
the wheels fell off. So I think it depends on term. That's for sure. All right, buddy. Pretty good. 35 minutes. I sometimes we sit down for an episode and I'm like, how are we going to fill up our usual 30 minute?
No, I thought the content for this one was better than I think the last one I got on. I was like, I don't know what we're going to do here, but no, I think with all the they're just a really fun team to watch right now.
Yes.
And you inject some youth who play really well, and there's a big hit in a game. There was a lot to talk about in this episode.
Ryan, they're the November goats.
Yeah, they really are.
All right, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back sometime next week. We will not be back on Sunday because the Leafs play Sunday night against the Utah Hockey Club. So we'll be watching that. So sometime early next week, we will be back. If you'd like to join us for that, hit that like and subscribe button below. If you're listening to the audio version, like, subscribe, review, all that stuff. Follow us on our socials. Links to those are in the description as well.
Spread the word. Tell your friends.
We really appreciate it. We will see you guys next week.